Right, you're going to have to bear with me a little bit. I'm using an old school Nokia phone with buttons. It's nothing special. But just looking into Doug and AV's case, and this is what they're referring to. This bit here.
We're here because of you. Yeah, well, victim. He's a victim. Yeah, well, you can. Yeah, you guys protect Gitbot, not us. You guys protect Gitbot. You're a $500,000 fine. Quit your job. Go back to work. Monkey rooster. Okay, we're gonna go right. We're gonna go left. Yeah, and you're live, so everybody's watching. 30 countries.
Okay, well, can I talk to you guys and you're not taking my patient out?
You know what? I'll let you move your patient out safely, but you guys, Lafayette needs to change your ways. And hey, if you ever stand behind me again like that, there's gonna be a problem for you. Got that? Okay. You got that?
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, you were right behind me. I felt.
Right, so far what you've got is the ambulance staff basically holding the patient hostage. You know, if the patient needs to get out, they can get them out, and the cameraman is not in the way. It is a public hospital, that is public property, and you have the right to film on public property, so therefore they're not out of place filming on public property or being in that area. It's not been declared as a restricted zone. There's no signs up calling it a restricted zone. No one's removed them as a restricted zone. The staff are creating a problem, creating a scene, and they're pretty much holding the patient hostage. You know, it's sort of like, meet our ransom demands or we can't release our patient. It is not the cameraman causing the problem.
Don't ever stand on me again.
And Donald went over to them,
space,
explained whatever he explained. Basically, look, they've got cameras, they've got the right to be here. We've messed up, they're filming us because we've messed up, so just get on with your job.
What's the telephone number here, Donald?
And then you notice they make no further contact with the staff that are moving the patient.
So should Rosales. This idiot right here should quit his job.
They're still talking to the security.
The street crying and convulsing. You guys are assholes, Donald.
And then the female staff are shouting, "Why don't you stop filming? Stop filming us." See, the staff are creating the engagement there. So they're asking them to stop doing something that they're lawfully allowed to do. Now, 148. I'll just leave the phone there. See if I can keep that. Yep. Every person who willfully resists, delays or obstructs any public officer, peace officer or an emergency medical technician as defined in Division 2.5 commencing with Section 1797 of the Health and Safety Code in the discharge or attempt to discharge any duty of his or her office or employment when no other punishment is prescribed shall be punished by a fine not exceeding $1,000 or by imprisonment in a county jail not to exceed 1 year or by both that fine and imprisonment. And the section that they were talking about was Section E. A person shall not be convicted of a violation of Subdivision A in addition to a conviction of a violation of Subdivision B, C or D when the resistance, delay or obstruction and the removal or taking of the weapon or firearm or attempt thereof was committed against the same public officer, peace officer or emergency medical technician. A person may be convicted of multiple violations of this section if more than one public officer, peace officer or emergency medical technician are victims. So yeah, subdivisions B, C and D all relate to removing or taking a weapon. That's what that's all about. So E then refers back to those taking of a weapon. So taking of a weapon's got nothing to do with it. So then it comes down to subsection G, which does relate to photography. And that says, the fact that a person takes a photograph or makes an audio or video recording of a public officer or peace officer while the officer is in public place or the person taking the photograph or making the recording is in a place he or she has the right to be does not constitute and of itself a violation of Subdivision A, nor does it constitute reasonable suspicion to detain the person or probable cause to arrest the person. So if they're going to try and use G based on taking a photograph or audio recording, that was the problem that the staff had. The fact that there was someone there recording. If they didn't have cameras and they weren't recording, the staff would have got the patient out. But the fact that they had a camera there is why they refused to get the patient out. But that law states the fact that a person takes a photograph or makes an audio or video recording of a public officer or peace officer while the officer is in public place, or the person taking the photograph or making the recording is in a place he or she has the right to be, does not constitute in and of itself a violation of subdivision A, nor does it constitute reasonable suspicion to detain the person or probable cause to arrest the person. So right there, that is stating, the law is stating that the taking of a photograph, making a video or recording is not a problem. And the only reason the staff had a problem was because they were recording. So if they'd stood there without any video going, any kind of recording devices or anything, the staff would have just got on with their day. So if they're going to uphold the recording as the problem, then they haven't broken any law. You know, it does not constitute reasonable suspicion to detain the person or probable cause to arrest the person. You know, it's like the person's in a public place. Yes, that's a public hospital. That's all public land. The person taking the photograph or making a recording is in a place he or she has the right to be. Yep. So therefore, it does not constitute a violation of subdivision A, nor does it constitute reasonable suspicion to detain the person or probable cause to arrest them. So therefore, having a camera, being there filming and recording, and the staff making a fuss about the fact that they're recording, does not meet the criteria for someone willfully resisting, delaying or obstructing any public officer, peace officer or an emergency medical technician. They have not committed that act. They have not resisted them. They haven't delayed them. They haven't obstructed them, because, as subsection G says, the photograph does not constitute reasonable suspicion. It isn't a probable cause to arrest. There is nothing wrong with taking a photograph, video, or making an audio recording of someone in a public place if you have the right to be in that place. So therefore, when we go back to that, and the staff getting upset, where is that? See, the staff open the door.
Yeah. Suspect. Donald's out in the middle of the... Wants to give me 2 fingers, no spit. What happened to the girl that you guys dumped out in the middle of the parking lot? Yeah, Donald, what happened? What happened to the suspect? Donald? We're here because of you. Yeah, well, victim. She's a victim.
See, you cannot record. That's the problem she has. She doesn't say you can't be here. She doesn't say you have no right to be present. She doesn't say you can't see this. Her only problem is recording. The fact a person takes a photograph, makes an audio or video recording of a public officer, peace officer, while the officer is in public place, or the person taking the photograph or making the recording is in a place he or she has the right to be, does not constitute a violation. So the only problem they had was the fact that he was recording.
Yeah.
And the whole situation stemmed from that.
You guys protect HIPAA. You're a $500,000 fine.
You see, the staff created a disturbance about a camera. The camera is not a disturbance. The camera is not a crime. The camera is not suspicion. The camera cannot be blamed for anything. The person holding the camera cannot be blamed for holding a camera. The camera is not a problem. The whole disturbance, that whole situation arose because of a camera. And then the staff continued it because of the camera. And if someone makes a comment, they give you the right to reply. You have the right to reply.
Go back to work.
Then Donald comes over. Look, we've had a bit of a bad situation. We've really messed up. They're allowed to film. We can't stop them filming. They're not trespassing, so just get on with your job like the camera isn't there, because that's what you're meant to do anyway. Stop holding the patient hostage.
You're live, so everybody watching 30 countries.
Okay, well, can I talk to you guys about that?
You know what? I'll let you move your patient out.
You see, they try and turn it into a safety issue there. Allow me to move my patient out safely. And they step back to the same distance that they were before.
Yeah, you were right behind me. I felt you. Don't ever
So they were making that distance a problem, but now the staff class that distance as safe. If they didn't class it as safe, they wouldn't be getting the patient out. So his step back is given that same space that they already had. Now they deem that amount of space to be safe. So therefore, what is the actual legal problem with any of this? Because then, what is apparently happening is that in this video, where they get arrested on a public sidewalk, on public land, which is next to the car park of the hospital, which is also public land because it's publicly owned, publicly funded, and it is public. They couldn't have been trespassing the first time. They can't be trespassing this time, so they can't actually arrest them for trespassing, which they have arrested them of. And now they're trying to relate it back to the previous incident that I was just showing, of them obstructing under section 148E. But 148E is relating to firearms, so they must be talking about 148G, which relates to photography. But even 148G states that the photograph or video is not a violation, and it does not constitute reasonable suspicion to detain the person or probable cause to arrest the person. But yeah, I guess the way they go on and complain about people being sovereign citizens, or they accuse people with cameras and auditors of being sovereign citizens, the reality of a sovereign citizen is someone who doesn't live by the laws that are laid out by the government, doesn't function by the laws of the government, and they make up their own laws and just live their own way. So, if anything, the police match the criteria for a sovereign citizen more than an auditor does, because the auditors live by the law of the country. They state the law of the country. They demand that people uphold the law of the country. See, that's more of a nationalistic patriot. For them, security or staff or police to accuse them of being terrorists or have suspicion of them being terrorists, a terrorist has something against the state and goes against the government. So how can someone who lives by the law, knows the law, quotes the law, upholds the law, and asks other people to live by the law of the nation be deemed to be a terrorist or a threat in any particular way? It's just absolute madness. The psychology of society is just in a mess.